Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic conversations with JT and Lo. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic conversations with JT and Lo.
Intro. That's my cousin, man. My cousin Sheena Sykes, she did that. She got the hook. My other cousin TC did the track, man. So real jazzy, man. Hey, here we go, man. Tuesday night, Classic Conversation with JT and Lo.
And that's a cop.
As you can see, my boy JT's not in the building tonight, man. Him and Casper somewhere boat riding and
Chilling in the Caribbean.
Chilling in the Caribbean, you know what I mean?
Respect.
Drinking and eating and drinking and eating.
Drinking and eating.
Oh, it's more than eating and drinking going on down there, but go ahead.
Well, we didn't want to get too vivid into what's going on, but we know those parts going
They're
on.
on the water.
Yeah.
It ain't hard to attract what you need down there. We got water in there. Go ahead.
There it is, man. But anyway, we back in the building, man. And JT, you know, shout out to you and Casper, man. Y'all enjoy y'all time off, man. It's, I think, St. Martin, ain't it? Yeah, St. Martin, man. That's the destination spot I haven't been yet. I got to make my way out there, man. But before we get started, man, I want to make sure everybody, as you join in, man, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit all those buttons, man, the like button, the heart button, all those cute little buttons on the side, man, because you know it helps our
Algorithm.
There it is, Jay.
Very professional, sir. Very professional. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
You're on top of it today, my boy.
You're on top of it. Hey, man, so anyway, and as you can see, we starting at a pretty good time tonight, too, man. How about that? So, you know, everybody's on time, so we rocking and rolling, man. MJ, brother, how was your week, man?
Oh, man, it was excellent. It's my mother's birthday. Her 81st.
A word?
Happy birthday to your mama, man.
Birthday. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
What'd you cook?
Pesto seafood pasta.
Okay.
With crab, shrimp, and scallops and mussels.
Oh, you went there.
You went there.
Okay, you dug deep. You dug into the bag of tricks.
Oh, yeah, I did a little bit, and then the mussels, I had sauce with it, some French bread.
Why Negroes always try to hide what they sauce is? Go ahead. Little sauce.
that?
Don't worry about what was in it. Just
Don't
for a
worry
little
about what's
sauce.
in
Okay. It's all good.
Actually, it's real easy. Just cook some mussels down.
Yeah.
You add butter, and then you put a little lemon juice in it, and a little olive oil. Set it off.
That's
Same
it.
thing you get when you go to wherever.
Okay, you keeping it simple. I like it. Okay, you kept it
And
simple.
of course, some Italian herbs. I cheated on that, though. I don't chop them up. I just get the two.
Oh, it's all good. As long as it's good for your mama,
Yeah,
though. That's good. Good stuff, man.
Sound like it was a nice birthday dinner.
Yeah, it sounds lit.
She enjoyed it.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So as you can see, man, JT's not here, but to my far left, we got a special guest, man, sitting there with us tonight. We've been talking about coming down for a minute, so he finally made his way down,
Oh,
man.
man, don't do that.
Mr.
Don't do
Rod,
that.
man. I had to spit it out there, Rod.
Come on,
You know,
Angelo, your
but
schedule.
you here today, brother.
I'm here. I'm in the building. Don't make it like I've been avoiding it now. Like, Angelo, it's hard to get in contact. You barely answer the phone. Let's start right there. This man don't never answer the phone. You lost your phone today for an hour. Come on now.
Man, put it on. Oh, man. These were backdoor tales, Rod.
Hey, that's a lot of trust in your building. Leave your phone anywhere? Okay. All right.
What's good, Rod? You doing, man?
I'm good, man. Get ready for Leo season to come in here, bro. I'm
Leo
ready.
season, huh?
Leo season is on the way, man. So it's the real season
Oh,
coming.
yeah. Somebody else daggone big you up over there.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. My dog. Hey, Leo. Hey, we some real people, man. It's hard to hate a Leo, man. It's really hard, man. It's really hard. Yeah, we some good folks, man.
Okay. So, Rod, how was your week, bro?
It's pretty good, man. I'm getting ready to head up out of here, dog. I'm going to Tampa, Florida tomorrow. I'm doing the Kappa Conclave down there. So I got a show down there Friday night, picnic with nephew Tommy Saturday morning. And then I'm just kick it down there, man. Go to the beach a little bit, just hang a little bit.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. You know, you got to warm up for Leo season. You can't just start. You got to warm into it.
You got to warm into it.
Take a show, go to the beach, come into it, and then go into it strong. You know what I'm saying? Then come to Uptown Comedy Corner on August the 5th. And do
Say
my
it
birthday
again,
here.
say it again.
August the 5th.
Okay.
Uptown Comedy Corner. Rob Minger's birthday show, man. We're going to be in the building, turning 40 up in here.
There
I'm going to turn
it
into an
is.
old man right on stage.
Right
Let's
on
do it.
stage.
Right on stage. I mean, I already got the gray in my beard, man, but, you know, it's going to go to the other side for the show.
I heard that. So Tommy not a Kappa, is he?
Yes, he is.
I thought Tommy was a Q for some
Man,
reason.
God, the disrespect right there, man.
I
That's a
know,
lot of
right?
disrespect.
Don't tell him I said that then.
Yeah, nah, we gonna do that. But let's cut that part out, Phoenix, please.
Yeah.
Let's cut that out. We don't want to get. He will never come back.
Yeah, we still trying to book Tommy. So.
We give him a personality.
Yeah, he'll never come back. Like, what did he call me?
What did
Never.
he call me?
Nah, man, it's a lot of us, man. Me, nephew Tommy, Finesse Mitchell, D-Lay, LeVar Walker, T. Ray Sanders, Sid the Entertainer. There's a lot of Kappa comedians, man. So it's a lot of us. If I missed anybody, that was just the ones on top of my head. But you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
We out here.
Y'all out here.
Yeah,
And it's
we out
Leo
here.
season, huh?
Yeah, and it's Leo season.
Yeah,
bro.
it is.
It's a nice
Yeah, it
season because women still got the sundresses on. They got their toes out. It's a good time of the year, man.
It's a good time of the
It's
year.
a great time of the year, man. Yeah. Especially when they wear the one that's built for their body. But go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead. I don't want to take over. Go ahead. I'm just here. I'm here to listen. Go ahead.
He's
I'm
up
here
here
to
to
listen.
listen.
No, go ahead, man. That's the conversation.
Hey, man, well, you know, we had a fairly decent week up here, man. Nah, I take that back, man. We had an outstanding week at Uptown Comedy Corner, man. My man, Shula King, was in the building.
Sold out 3 days in a row.
Hey, man,
That boy out of control.
Shula did his thing, man. And, you know, not just, and it was sold out. No doubt about that. But he gave phenomenal shows.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Gave the people what they wanted. And had a really good time, man. So shout out to my boy Shula, man.
Yeah.
He really did his thing up here, man. So and overall had a good weekend, man. The brunch was good, and you know we got the daytime brunch as well.
I see that y'all got that rocking.
You done the clean comedy brunch yet, man?
I haven't been yet, but
You
I
got to rock
heard,
that joke
I
one
heard it be
time.
lit, though.
Oh yeah, it be turned up, man.
Yeah, Michelle C. was doing it this week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was telling me about it. I was like, yeah. I'm
yeah.
gonna check it out, man.
You be seeing 3-4 generations of family at that brunch.
Really?
Yeah, because it's clean comedy, so we
Yeah.
open up to anybody.
So the old folks can come.
So the old folks be there with the great grandbabies, man. It'd be a real cool scene.
I like that. I like how old folks like clean comedy, like they ain't cuss their whole damn life.
Oh
But
yeah,
go ahead,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Cussed on the way up and the way out.
But now they're trying to go to heaven, so they're trying to be all clean, saved. Go ahead. Now I might die tomorrow, so let me go and get saved. I don't cuss
Right.
no more. But I'm not dealing with it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Back to you.
No doubt about it, man. So anyway, man, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna dive back into some of these topics, man. We got several good topics we're gonna discuss tonight, man. So we'll be right back. Give us 2 minutes.
All right.
Y'all don't tell me no topics. I don't know what's going
See that professional just keep doing? Hear the applause. Hey, man, that's somebody's been in front of the camera for. Hey, stop up. We here. Let's go. I saw it.
Just like a nigga. Roast you for being professional. Go ahead.
Hey, man, we back here. We back.
Damn, I
Classic
got some big
Konversations
ass
with
teeth.
JT and Lo.
And that's a cop.
And as you know, as mentioned earlier, JT's on vacation this weekend,
Chilling.
man. Chilling, enjoying himself, man. So shout out to them. So listen, we're going to just dive right on in, man. But, oh, yeah, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, hit all those
Algorithms.
buttons on the side. Come on, slow down, man. You had it. You killed
know
it.
don't
You
get
hit the
to
home
say
run the
anything.
first
I
time,
don't
man.
know.
Oh, yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the heart, the star, the like, all the buttons on the side, man, because it always helps our.
Algorithm.
There it is. There we go.
Y'all boy got something real serious going on up here. I like this, man. The way y'all really helping each other. It's very helpful.
Absolutely,
I
man.
just remain silent and they handle it.
So anyway, man, let's dive in, man. There's a lot of things that have been going on, but I want to open up. And, you know, MJ, you definitely going to be able to hit on this topic. And Rod, listen, there's a 20-year-old guy just released from prison. Well, from jail. I don't know if he was in prison. He was locked down for a year.
Okay.
Got a bond. A year ago, he got locked down for kidnapping his girlfriend at the time. So they locked him up for a year. He gets out. The anniversary, just gets out, goes straight to her job, pulls her at gunpoint, takes her in the car, gets in a police chase, and ended up killing the girl in the car. So my question, man, is the system just too soft? I mean, how does this keep happening?
I don't think there's a evaluation system that has been mastered for when people do such like heinous things. Like you don't know what questions to ask. You don't know how to evaluate them. You don't know how to, they really just had to polish themselves up to get right back out. That dude, if he did that on the anniversary of the original crime, that's all he thought about while he was locked up. Like when I get out, if I ever get the opportunity, I'm gonna do the same exact thing, but worse. But what questions do you ask to know what somebody's thinking? Like, just like all these mass shootings we're having. Right. You never know what anybody's thinking. And then most of the time they kill themselves. So then they do these crazy things and we never know what they're thinking, what's on their mind. And if they do catch somebody, they go mute. So I think it's just I don't think it's the system failing people. I think it's something that can't be mastered. We can't figure out how to get in the mind of crazy humans.
MJ?
It speaks more for intake. When people get put into the prison system, they say they do this, they say they do that, but reality, American prison system is just a holding. There's no retraining, there's no real help for anybody unless they're over the top psychiatric case, and then they're gonna be criminally insane, and then they'll get medicated. But in a case like that, when somebody kidnaps somebody, there's very little input goes in by a police officer to say, okay, there's something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do it, maybe an older officer, but most young officers, hey, he was violent, we locked him up, hey, we saved a girl, he tried to kidnap her, boom, and just leave it there. There's no mechanism in place to address that. Maybe, I can't say, you can Monday morning quarterback any crime and anything an officer does. But on this one, you really can't come back and say, well, this should have been in place, this should have been in place. Because if somebody, excuse my French, batshit crazy, you can't stop it. Because now this person's off the rails, and I'll go back to something we spoke on last week, the availability of firearms. And I'm not talking about to somebody, because he's a crook, he's a criminal, he could get a gun. But I'm talking about people that are mentally impaired. I think there has to be a marriage, and I know it's gonna piss a lot of people off because I'm not gun control in no way, but the access to guns should be, you got to make it harder, but once a person has been declared criminally insane, there needs to be a database. And once somebody, and this is where, HIPAA laws and everything else are going to come into it, but when a psychiatrist sits in an office and says, damn, this guy is batshit crazy, they even need to enforce the law. When a psychiatrist finds out somebody is criminally insane and may be a danger to others, that individual is supposed to report it. So that's a facet of all these shootings, that a lot of these kids that have been part of shootings, they were already seeing a psychiatrist, mass shootings. So that's something that should be reported. And there has to be a mechanism that marries the two.
But even if it's reported, that don't prevent them from getting a weapon.
Fair.
That's what needs to change.
Right,
Laws need to change. So if you marry any I don't care if the kid's 14. Once you've been declared insane, and they have a list of the 5 categories, schizophrenia, bipolar, and things of that nature. There's so many people taking the medication because people talk about it.
Fair.
But there's no mechanism where when a gun shop owner, when that person presses that button and the name pops up, hell no, And there also needs to be a penalty, not so much for anybody that's psychiatric, but when somebody attempts to buy a gun, there needs to be a follow-up investigation if the person is something like he's a felon, or if he's criminally insane and he went to buy a gun. Well, goddamn people, let's follow up on it.
Fair.
And there's nothing in place.
So I agree with that part. There's definitely nothing in place. But now, but you got a situation. This guy, they released him. They put him on house arrest. He has a ankle monitor.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ankle monitor had to go off because he wasn't supposed to leave the house. So how does that part play a role, you think, in terms of can be done better? Because that means somebody had to know, I would hope, if the ankle monitor goes off, You know what I mean? That, hey, he's no longer where he's supposed to be.
But that's confirmed. He was out of range.
100%.
So he was out of. So that means it was beaten the whole
He
time.
could not leave the house. So anything out of the house is out of range. The minute he came out those doors, he was out of range. And he had to go drive to her.
What does the ankle monitor do on the leg once you're out of range? Does it vibrate? Does it have a shock on it? What? How does that work? I don't know. I don't know the science behind it.
It needs to have a shock on it.
There should be a shock on it right there. So you got a range, you need a shock. You need to hem your ass up.
I know it would make sense, but kind of gentler, they wouldn't do that. But honestly, if it had a shock, they go, oh shit, I'm supposed to get back.
Right.
For 1% that would actually go back.
Okay, and if somebody invents that after this show, I want us to get full credit up here at Uptown Comedy Corner.
I know that's
the
right.
ankle monitor shock collar. We need to invite that. We're going to call it the Uptown Shock. Go ahead. Back to you.
This will probably shock a lot of people, but
I see what you did there. It was good.
Right.
but almost all the monitoring systems aren't done by law enforcement. They're done by private individuals.
Correct.
And I'm not going to knock anybody. Rockdale County. But there's some of them that leave a little bit to be desired. Because as I was a fugitive commander for like 10 years in Atlanta, Southeast Region Fugitive Task Force, part of that. Ammo Task Force was an FBI-based task force. And anytime somebody's on an ankle monitor,
Right.
this is what happens. The person violates, there's absolutely no help whatsoever because all they do is report it to that person's parole officer or probation officer. There's no penalty phase. There's nothing saying the Indians off the reservation, so to speak. Nobody's going to say there's nobody tracking them. There's nobody looking for them.
Oh, so nobody's on the way.
No, nobody's going away. It's just turned over to somebody who's supposed to do the paperwork to violate them. And this is no knock on parole officers or probation officers, but the average probation officer has a stack of cases like this.
Right.
Literally hundreds if he's in a big city.
So basically, somebody can take an ankle monitor and run to Mexico.
Happens all the time.
Really?
You know how
so they'd
many
be in
times-
Mexico with an ankle bracelet on forever because you can't get it off.
No, you get it off.
They can get them off.
Yeah,
How you get it off? With
easily.
what?
Just cut them
They
off.
cut 'em
It's a
off.
violation in itself, cutting them off, so most people won't cut them off because they know, okay, they're going to catch me, but I'm going to do what I want to do because the jails are so full. And if you're not a violent criminal or somebody they want, okay, so you violated. What are they going to do? Send you back to a jail that's too full? Fulton County Jail is still under federal mandate. On every Friday, it's get out of jail free. If you're not a violent felon, you're actually released.
What you mean? They get to go home?
Yeah, they're just released. They got it because they're
They
overcrowded.
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 And they
So
know, they're
just
going to be
released.
busy this weekend.
So a nigga be in jail on Friday and Krispy Kreme donuts on Saturday and back in jail on Monday. They get out for the weekend?
Well, yeah.
No, they released,
they're not
they
released, they're
released
gone,
them.
period.
Yeah.
Until they're
Because
court date.
they know they're going to get a bunch of folks arrested over the weekend, so they clear out some people to make room for
Yeah.
some more. That's what they do.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Man, hold up. Y'all about to blow my brain. Hold up, dog. Wait a minute. So you could be in jail, then one day be like, hey, dog, you good. I'm going to let you out. So we
Well,
get
yeah, as
somebody else
long
in.
as you're not a violent felon,
Yeah.
they'll release you.
That's terrible.
Drugs, burglary. Somebody could steal your
What-
car and beat you home.
But the drug is a gray area, but we'll that's another subject. Go ahead. You know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
But this case right here, though, I'm curious in terms of, I say the system, right? Because he gets a bond. Everybody, I guess, is entitled to a bond. So as soon as you make your bond, you get out. And that's what I'm saying in terms of what can we do better to protect people? You know what I mean? Because this is why a lot of women don't want to press charges because they
Fair.
feel like
guys get out and they see this happen.
nothing's
Yeah.
gonna happen, and now I'm in danger. And what are you gonna do to protect me? And this is a 19-year-old child who just lost her life to a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
She definitely took his virginity. Go ahead.
I would.
That sound like some he ain't never had no box
Because
before.
man, 20 years
Goodness.
old.
Boy, you spent the 1 year and you wanted to go kill the same girl. Boy, you out of control.
It's an issue, and I guarantee if you look back at it, people don't want to talk about it, but the troublemakers in the zone, your beat or whatever, are the same people that was cutting up in high school. You know when you went in high school, you know
Yeah.
when you were in high school. There's certain people you knew where they were going to end up.
Now you
in
knew
life.
you knew who the goons was. You knew what it was.
Yeah, you know what they were. So I think what could happen with this, and this once again I'm gonna sound liberal as hell. I just see it's an issue because this is now a one-time thing. This happens all the time.
Here's my point.
Women are assaulted after the person's did the jail time or gets out because there's no mechanism in place to notify her. I think there should be a mechanism in place where if you assault this female and I'm going to be released.
Fair.
At least if you keep the number current, they should at least be somebody saying Michael Lewis is going to be released on July the 1st. Watch out for him.
Yeah.
And somebody should come to him and read him the riot act. Look, if you're like almost an automatic restraining order for
Fair.
life, unless that person comes in and types it up that they want to change it, drastic things like that have to take place, particularly when it's victimization as a victim and they know each other domestic. I think on any domestic case that should happen.
So I got two questions since you worked in law enforcement. First question, I read a statistic that said majority of the people, men in jail for violent crimes, 65% are love crimes. Is that true?
I don't know this. I thought it was close to the 45, but it may be now.
Okay,
And,
so that has been a statistic before. It's usually love. So it's usually due to relationships.
A lot of it's mostly because that's why. And since we're Black Show, I'll talk about it. The African American community, it's almost in Atlanta. We have probably it's actually the highest in the country, probably 15 years running for capturing murder suspects.
Wow.
Very few open cases in Atlanta because, one, we got some jam up detectives, but it's also the situation where most black crime, they know the victim. They know the victim. It's not stranger on stranger.
Yeah.
They know the victim. And when it comes to domestic, it's the same way. If it's the husband killing the wife or the wife killing the husband, and when you look at these cases, it's sad. And they have units, they have domestic violence units. That's all they work is these cases, but it's never the first time. You may have got like that of a young lady comedian that came on the show and told her story, and I helped her a little bit. A lot more was said off the camera than it was on the camera when I did the follow-up. And it was a lot of violence that was recorded. The police showed up on the scene, but there was no mechanism in place to stop it unless the victim wants to stop it. And I think there needs to be something on the outside, maybe give probation and parole officers more power to put a stop to it.
And the second question was, have they stopped notifying like victims when somebody's getting out of prison? 'Cause I remember moving into a neighborhood and they came to every door and told us that a pedophile was moving into the neighborhood. Is that still a thing? Like, I mean, they literally gave everybody a post like, how do you feel about this? Yes or no? And then you could vote and send it back to the leasing office.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm like, they do that for a pedophile. Shouldn't they do that for people that do like domestic crimes as well? For the victim.
Now I'm gonna call you out. Where did you grow up?
This is when I was in college in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay, see, that's a small town, nice
Yeah.
community. You can have that, but the reality of it is, major cities, it doesn't happen.
Well, they're supposed to have victim advocates, and those victim advocates are supposed to assist the victims.
Right.
And the part of assisting them is keeping in touch in terms of, you know, the offender and their
Where
jail
they're gonna
time.
be release dates and everything else.
But again, when you're in a major city, the victims are
The list is too
enormous.
long.
The list is too long, so a lot of stuff gets.
So
you
the
know,
best thing for women, especially when they're in violent situations like that, they need to move, even if the dude is locked up. They need to just go home.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because you can't. They have to continue with their lives because most people don't realize the amount of the violence. It's not like you see on TV because they always want to sugarcoat shit. I slap you and oh my God, he hit me. I have a black eye. I've seen women that faces actually look like hamburger.
Like a what?
Hamburger.
Smashed in.
They're smashed in. Both orbital sockets broken. The young lady that came on the show, her facial bones were broken. And
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things where people ignore it because it's one of a few crimes that crosses the color barrier. And it crosses all social demographics. Rich beat just as much as the poor do. In fact, rich probably, well, you were zone too. You can probably speak on that, on how many times you saw domestics come up and it wasn't handled the same way, was it?
Oh no, 100%.
But I think what also is making it blurry.
We had, you know, zone 2. You had all
Be
kinds of
careful.
domestic situations.
Be careful now. Be careful. Be careful now.
Yeah.
Watch what you say. Because I'm sitting right next to you. I need to say crazy shit. I need to move over. But also, man, what's making it blurry is, let's be realistic, man. We all know a guy that's been lied on as well. So that probably makes it blurry too from the law enforcement side, because there's dudes that's doing it, and that's the ones that was the blame game, and it's not really true. False accusations.
Well, it's one of the things, and I think everything's going to change in time, because one thing I noticed and I've only been retired 2 years, going on 3. And towards the end of my tenure, it was insane the amount of females that were getting arrested for violent crimes, in crimes that you would typically associate with men. So I think that's one of those situations where women are becoming more violent, and they may kind of change it, but everybody, face it, and this isn't in a chauvinistic manner, but women are the weaker sex. So you want to protect the person that's weaker. I'm talking purely from a fighting standpoint, not intellect, not anything else, but just a straight up fighting standpoint. So that's why they're protected. And for every man that's, I've seen people have false allegations, but most of the true domestics are not a one and done. If a person's just like a rapist, if you rape one time, you'll rape again. If you beat one time and you do not get any type of help, you will beat again.
I don't know this kid's criminal history. I haven't seen that part, but you'd imagine he had something else.
Yeah, of course.
About his background.
Yeah. There's always some type of inner trauma.
And then you kidnapping not your first major thing. So
that's your first dance.
You got to be demented.
That's your first dance. Which again is my point in terms of how severe, is it too lax in the system, because these kids, and I saw something yesterday about the same thing, man, how they're just getting off, and they're just getting off, and they're just getting off. You know what I mean? Until, what does it take before they do this?
Fair.
And they done got off on so many other little things, so they don't think what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Because they keep getting off.
And put ass whoopings back in the house.
Woo.
That's the problem right there. Put the ass whoopings back in the household. They need to be back open. It need to be talked about, and it needs to be talked about and put back out there. When we was whooping ass, did we have some bad people? It's few and far in between. But when they stop whooping ass and you can't whoop ass no more, and stuff is getting worse and they're getting bigger because they don't know what consequences are. Gotta whoop ass when they little. It sets a tone.
I'll say this, and I'm sounding liberal as hell on this show tonight.
I'm waiting on my lady's
If you
response to
disagree with the
that
ass
one.
whoop, you liberal as
But
hell.
I'll say this, in our day, yes.
Yes.
If you're over 35, yes, because the structure was there for families, but now that so much has changed socially, mores, norms, that if you weren't parented and then you put violence into it, you're making a bigger problem than you, because it's different. When your parents whooped you, they loved you. It was out of love. It wasn't out of hate. And now I think the ass whoopings kids get is more out of frustration and not knowing how to parent, because in our community, the ones we're talking about that commit most of the heinous crimes are ones that were born to teen mothers, and their mother was a teen mother. Like I tell you, there's a club called Charles Disco on Simpson Road in Atlanta. I literally locked up.
Charles Disco.
Yeah, you remember
Well,
that?
you went way back right there, boy.
Yeah, but the funny thing about it, this happened multiple times, Bowen Homes. It'd be a grandmother, a mother, a daughter, all clubbing at the same club at the same time.
What's this club called?
It was called Club
Charles Disco.
Charles Disco.
Oh, okay. I thought you said
Road.
Central Station. I remember Central Station back in the day. Central Station, boy. That's in my early 20s right
Station
there.
had other issues,
Boy,
but
yeah, it did.
so I mean that's part of the problem. So I'm not going to say endorse it, but if we could bring back the family structure and have it, because there's difference between a single mom in our era and a single mom in this era.
Yeah.
It's not even the same thing.
I mean, I don't think you should just you shouldn't be karate chopping your kid or nothing like that. But you ever been in Publix and you see two kids? It be one kid on aisle 4, one kid on aisle 5. The kid on aisle 4, they walk in, they mannerable to stand near the parent. You be like, that kid done had an ass whooping before. The one on 5, he knocking stuff over, telling mama shut the hell up. He don't get his ass whooped, he get timeouts. It's just a difference. Now, should it be limits? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Just rough them up 3 little. Don't play with me in the store. They need to know when they go to the store, okay, if I do this, this happens. That's what I mean. And then it just teaches you consequences for the rest of your life. I'm going to do that. I had 15 whoopings in my childhood, but I remember all 15 of them.
Right.
I learned.
They don't take a bunch. It
didn't take me a bunch. I remember all the offenses.
Yeah.
I remember all of them.
Hold that thought. I always want to do that. I never get to do it. We'll be right back. I get to do all this shit I never get.
All right, well, hey, we're back. Classic Conversation with JT and Low.
And that's a cop.
You know, usually I've been looking through my notes and all that stuff because JT started up, so I had to,
Yeah, we had to regroup.
Yeah.
So apparently JT running this show.
He's our narrator.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
the narrator. He narrates all. And I normally just pounce on the parts I want. Now I'm actually having to talk.
Yeah, you doing it though. You making sound effects and everything. It's kinda cool.
And everything. Yeah. Oh, his sound effects and
You see how you said the alarm
facial expressions are awesome.
That was pretty cool. Keep that sound in there.
From the last conversation, Orlando said he was just playing a role to get out to complete his task. Millennium agreed with Orlando, said the brother had that vindictive behavior ready regardless of the system or help he could have got, regardless of help he have gotten. Number one said, was a childhood light? Did he grow up with zero discipline? Parents fearful of him? They didn't really get into his background just yet. Glenn said, keeping Atlanta alive, Charles Disco Lounge. Kiki, I had one whooping and my daddy still apologizing for it to this day. Oh, boy, that's funny. All right, so our next topic. Talk a little bit about how your neighborhoods are changing. ... again.
Boy.
You know, how they're raising these prices and taxes to kind of manipulate how the neighborhoods are changing. And so you have a lot of black folks having to move out of the city in certain areas again. And, you know, areas where we know where crime infested and everything else. And now you see folks out 5 o'clock in the morning jogging and walking their dogs and all this good stuff. Talk to us, MJ.
Oh, well. This is something I know about because my last part of my career is in Zone 1. And I can remember going to community meetings and something, you said your wife's from New York, so you can speak on this. When most major cities, particularly you think a black major city, would have grandfather clauses put in where older black people or people that meet a certain criteria, maybe handicapped or something of that nature, there'd be clauses in there where their taxes couldn't raise over a certain amount until they died. And what's happened with Atlanta, they had it where we went to all the community meetings and you actually have to sign up for that. And they put it out there, which is bullshit, excuse me. Because basically you had, everybody knows in Atlanta that has gone to the community meetings, you have those hardcore, every community meeting is gonna be there and they carry it to everybody and they're older, so then they let everybody else know. They still got, they talk to everybody and the word gets out. And what I started seeing is they would vote on things and the demographics, even in Zone 1, were changing because a lot of these people, now I'm just gonna put it out there, people would buy houses that didn't look like me. And this is an attack on them because it's an investment. So I'm just gonna talk real low. And what I would see happening is when it was time to vote and only a handful of black people that normally come would show up, everybody that bought a house would show up. And they were able to vote certain things into being that wouldn't have been voted in if everybody knew exactly what it was. And it could just be something as a variance or anything. I can speak in Zone 1, and this is an attack on the mayor because it's a new mayor. But I started my career 30 years ago in Zone 1. It was not until my career closed that a park the magnitude of the one that's off of Northside Drive exists. They bulldoze houses, everything, it looks like something out of, it actually is better than Grant Park or any park that's in Buckhead.
Yep.
But it only occurred when the gentrification was happening.
Come on, that's the word right there.
And I mean, I'll let y'all have it, but it's just sad the way, pretty soon in Atlanta, the only thing black in it is gonna be the tires rolling through it. And I mean that from the standpoint, it's gonna be well-heeled brothers in, but as far as the people that got Maynard and Andrew Young elected and all the series of black mayors, those people can't afford to live in Atlanta more. I think it's up to almost $1,500 for a studio in Atlanta now.
Fair. It's getting real. They acting real New York now. like a real New York. What it is, man, they really want to protect the areas around big tourist situations. They want to protect the Braves Stadium. That's why they moved it to Cobb County. They want to protect State Farm Arena because they started to build some nice condos over there and tear down the old ones and put up some new ones. They don't really want, what I say when I say they don't really want those nice, cool things near bus stops. Isn't that weird that it's like that?
Yeah.
Notice if you got a bus stop in front of your area, it's an area you need to lock your door. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be realistic. But where they move,
It's interesting.
when they move over there, they ain't worried about locking their door. They leave their house unlocked. They don't care. But they don't know. We'll come over there too. Like, these jokers travel. Now, you remember when Buckhead was like, ooh, you stay in Buckhead.
Yeah.
Now I be like, oh, you stay in Buckhead?
Yeah.
Like, your tone got a little ash on it now. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll get you over there too. These jokers travel.
Thanks.
So they can gentrify all they want to and try to, all they can do is move farther north or move farther south. Because Negroes, we ain't trying to go too far. You know what I'm saying? We want to be in the city. We want to be where it's popping at. We want to be able to go to the clubs. We want to be able to go to the games. We want to be able to go hang out. We want to go to the festivals. We still want to have fun, where I think the other ethnicities, they don't mind being somewhere and making it, that's their stomping ground. Like, I went to a festival in Alpharetta one time. It was like 100,000 people out there. I'm like, I didn't even know that many people came out here. But it was packed because they have things they do ritually out that way, so they don't have to go into the city. Same thing with Douglasville. Douglasville has a Wind Down Wednesday all summer. It be jumping out there. No crime, don't nobody be fighting, but people want nice, safe things to go to. And I think when other ethnicities look at us as a whole, they don't think about good common guys in our ethnicity. They look at what they see on the news, what they see on TV. So they want to separate themselves. It's just like they let that one bad apple spoil the whole bunch. So that's why they're going to keep trying to up the price. But they don't realize some of the people that they scared of got money too. And that's what they get confused at. But I don't want to get too deep, man. Back to you. You know what I'm saying? I'll just drop my 2 pennies in there, man. I don't want to get too deep. But it's real.
Dig as far as you want, man. But all that's real, I mean, but is this another version of the old school red line?
Yeah, really. Because if you remember correctly, MARTA, the running joke in Atlanta was MARTA moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta.
That's right.
And you can remember there was parts, Cobb County didn't want it.
Oh, yeah.
Buckhead didn't want any MARTA buses. The only reason they had to do it because they needed to be able to get the Mexicans and, the Latino and blacks to Buckhead to work in the businesses.
Fair.
And that's the only reason, and it only went so deep.
That's correct.
And now Cobb is accepted, Gwinnett accepted MARTA for years. They didn't want it in there.
No parts.
And so what's happening now that the gentrification has occurred, Kirkwood, there's at least, I can think of 12 houses that I've served warrants on, and even when I was in Red Dog or narcotics, and they're actually worth probably $1 million now, Kirkwood area. And that area has changed, and I'm not knocking that it's changed, but the problem I have is we had a series of black mayors, and the planning for all this stuff went years. I remember when I first came on in 90, and there was a pretextual stop, and I saw a white guy in the bluff, and I pulled his ass over. And I was pulling him because the white guy bluff, that's heroin trap.
Yeah, don't add up.
Yeah, it's heroin Alice. So I pulled him over. He said, no, I'm selling insurance, and I'm doing paperwork. I said, paperwork? And I kept on getting the guys for like a week straight. And then you saw them all the time. They were actually getting black people to sign over their houses, giving them cash money, and putting them in apartments. Why? Sadie stated.
It was coming.
And all that stuff was occurring. So that was and that was planned. That was planned as I started moving up, and you go to certain meetings, and certain areas are being targeted, and it's one of those things where you have black leaders that we're turning to, like I say it all the time on the show, Miami, where the only time the Cubans come together when it's time to vote for a Republican. But other than that, you have your haves and your have-nots. And I think that's what's happened in Atlanta. We have black leaderships that were haves, and then the have-nots, the only time they really wanted them around was for the vote. And they can say what they want about, no, that's not true. I'm not affiliated with the city anymore, so I can talk about it. What you have happening is you have making up all these nice programs that are supposed to be mixed income housing, or they bulldoze down, one of the projects, Mayor Franklin got rid of all the projects in Atlanta, single-handedly destroyed Clayton County and what was left of the cab. And
Facts.
when they rebuilt it up, it was supposed to be mixed housing, but the way they did it, it didn't occur that way.
Right.
And now it's gotten up to the average, I think it's $1,500 for a studio in Atlanta now.
Yeah.
If you can find a one bed, and these are in the hood. I'm not talking nice ones. When you get into a nice area, now you're talking $2,500, $2,800.
Yeah.
So there's no place for the very people that got all these black leaders elected.
Yeah.
And they were in charge. And if you can plan the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or if you can plan the Beltline,
Yeah.
and see, there's never investigations, but I wonder how many councilmen own houses that were along the Beltline that had to be bought out.
There's some beautiful houses over
Things
there.
of that nature. I'm telling it all, people. Somebody research that shit. So the only people that got screwed in the whole process were poor African Americans. And now what's left in those areas, the few places they're holding on to before they force them out. Come on.
It's some houses by the Beltline that do not belong over there.
That do
I
not
seen some houses like the
over
same house Iron Man had in that movie. But I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
it's some. Have you been over there lately?
Oh, yeah.
It's
But
some-
look,
you
right
like-
across the street.
You be like, why is this house don't even fit in this neighborhood?
Don't
but,
fit.
But boy, it got all the bells and
And
whistles.
all
It
the
got a
black
helicopter
people that
pad on
live in
top.
those neighborhoods haven't thought about it, but that tax base is going up.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been no mechanisms put in place to save those people's houses. So imagine when that McMansion was put on the Beltline, and all of a sudden your $60,000 house turns into a $400,000 house.
Fair.
And people are bombing and bulldozing them down the same day.
Yeah.
You look in Zone 1 off of Bankhead Highway. Well, I call it Bankhead, but we know the real name. I just like calling it Bankhead. But there's places over there where the houses went overnight from being 30, 40,000, or hell, if you move in it, you live in it. And all of a sudden these houses are 200, 300.
Yep.
And now the very people that live there, and people are knocking on their door, and a lot of these people are poor, and they don't understand the gravity of it when they didn't work to get that house. Their grandmama or granddaddy did, and now you have somebody knock on the door. Hey, I got $60,000 cash, and I'll put you in an apartment. And they got that house. And now the house, they do a facelift on it and turn it, if it's a quick flip,
Oh,
200.
man.
But a lot of people are holding on to these houses. And a lot of black people are getting forced out of these, Ormwood,
Yeah.
different areas. And I'm not knocking the people that are gentrifying and coming in because you didn't know. But the damage that was done to the black community, and you have black leaders in place that didn't take steps, that's horrendous.
Yeah, there's a lot that happened on Cascade as well. Cascade is knocking a lot of old hood-looking houses down, and they're
West
building
End.
they're building big houses and making them multiplexes.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a house that was probably a one-family house, and they'll take it, knock it down, and have it split where it's 4 like apartment units. I mean, they coming up nice, boy, and those houses got good land on them. Cause let's be realistic, that was usually the outer skirts. You know, like nobody really lived over there like that. But man, they cleaned it up over there, man. It's nice over there. I'm like,
the price
yo.
tag on those houses is
Oh boy,
Yeah.
boy.
And
yeah.
then there's some people that talk about gentrification. They said, well, y'all had it all those years and didn't do nothing about it. I don't fault the people that live there. I fault the succession of black mayors that didn't do those improvements in those areas. Because now if you can come up to the money for the Beltline now, why, and you got, I don't know the name of the park, but if you see this park, all the time I was there, and it didn't happen to the gentrification occurred. So kids didn't need to play in parks before, but this is under black leadership. So it's not like you infectors out there like to blame everything on Whitey. It's Blackie that did this, and nobody calls him out for it. Why? Because I like to refer to him as a black 1%. That black leadership structure that was there and made their money through the years and through,
Fair.
Number 1 says it's all a plan to displace poor black people, but notice you don't see white trailer parks being touched. Yeah, that's interesting theory.
That's a group you don't want to go crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You don't want them to go crazy.
Millennium said gentrification is a double-sided sword.
Yeah.
Number 1 said all this road building going on in Douglasville is about the tax base. Some have voted against the proposition. Millennium, black people that get out the hood 9 times out of 10 don't go back to reinvest consistently. And the gentrifiers take a business advantage and lack of community knowledge and solidarity. Great point.
Douglasville is definitely on the curve. It's about to get Douglasville about 5 more years. It's gonna be something different.
And listen. I live in Douglasville. It's changing rapidly.
Oh, bro, I host Table 25 on Thursday, the karaoke out there.
Do you?
It be jumping out there, and so, I'm talking about the celebrities are coming through there every Thursday. Just like that's their regular restaurant because it's a black-owned restaurant. It's right there off the exit. Bro, it's nice out there. Like it's straight out there.
I mean, it was a quiet place before. You know what I mean? But I knew. I said this when I started seeing apartments going up. Because Douglasville folks fought those apartments for years.
Yeah.
When I started seeing the apartments going up, I said, "Oh, it's about to be a change around here."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My neighborhood, you know, what used to be a golf course is what used to be. We were like one of maybe 4 or 5 black folks in the neighborhood at the time. Hey.
Now you got rims out there.
There might be only 3 or 4 white families in that neighborhood now. Oh,
they need to see one truck.
It's changed right before my very eyes.
If they see one truck with some rims on it, they move. Like, it's time to go.
It's out of
See
there.
those rims pull up in the neighborhood, it's time to go. They sell right there. Whatever it's worth, they sell it for right there. It's over with.
And see, they pushed us out.
What's up, Ryan Godfrey?
And now they moved in. And I can't say they pushed us out. We have black leaders that allowed us to be pushed out. And I don't even want to make it racial because they are. It's helping the city, but all the people that voted for them all those years have just been abandoned.
Fair.
Number 1 said it's Koreatown gentrified. They won't. You know, they don't touch other neighborhoods though. Why? Huh? They say can't.
They're gonna hold it because it's paid off.
Yeah, because they keeping everything inside.
Yeah.
You right about that now. We shot with them. We shot with everybody else. They're not us.
Believe that.
Millennial said mostly Ron Godfrey was good, brother. Good to see you, man. Millennial said most of these houses on Hightower got bodies buried in the back. Yeah. Hightower, Jonesboro, what's the one on
insight on that?
Hollywood Road.
Hollywood Court. Oh boy. Hey. I can't tell you, yeah. Seen so many bodies out in them places, man.
Perry Holmes, at one point they thought Tiger Woods was supposed to put a major PGA golf course out there, and it just didn't materialize. But it's happened for years. I can remember when Georgia Tech was going to jump across the street, across Northside Drive. So investors, they had landholding companies come in and buy up all the bluff. And the bluff was bought out because Georgia Tech was already supposed to jump across the street. When they decided not to expand, all those houses were dumped, and a lot of pharmaceutical salesmen bought those houses.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them sitting to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But a lot of that happened, and nobody really cared, or they just started. There's a Major Rick Mason, who's a friend of mine. He actually finally brought about change and started doing code enforcement where it actually counted with the Atlanta Police Department. And they started holding these landholding companies responsible for boarding up and actually enforcing it and finding them, not just saying you're supposed to do it and continue to. So he started finding them, and it made a difference. But you just realize how many people that don't even know how to spell the city, they don't know it existed. It's just holding it in all these areas. You have people that bought houses and allowed people to stay in them because they just didn't want to have to cut the grass.
So are we saying? So are we saying that these things happen forcefully due to our lack of knowledge? What are we saying? What is the real reason that this happens to our neighborhoods?
I think it's lack of knowledge. I think
agree.
It's lack of concern with that black 1%, because they make their money, And I'm not gonna name names because a lot of people I respect, they were in that same thing. But I grew up listening to, black civil rights leaders, and when he put it out there, a lot of the things that people he talked about are some of the very people that were in power or had their hand on power in Atlanta. And Reverend Hosea Williams, beautiful man, and he talked about Dr. King and some of his esteemed people, but he'd also let you know about the other ones. And he actually used to talk about this happening. And it's happened, and it's sad, because we can't blame it on anybody else. You had all these black leaders that were every black fraternity members and my laws, Mason, and it's like you see the very people that the ones that are educated and should know, they could have been on the forefront saying, hey, look, don't let this happen. Don't sell your houses. But they never did. Why? Because they were buying up the houses just like everybody else was when they knew ahead of time where the belt line was and they're buying up those houses. Yeah, but there's not going to be an investigative reporter that's going to dive into that. How many council members bought houses in the Beltline area? That was a money grab, and nobody wants to call it.
Wow. That's
Man.
deep.
They'll do it.
Hey, with that, we'll be right back.